If you're an author or plan to be one, get excited because this podcast is for you. Book Marketing Mentors is the only podcast dedicated to helping you successfully market and sell your book. If you're ready for empowering conversations with successful marketing mavens, then grab a coffee or tea and listen in to your host, international best-selling author Susan Friedman.
Welcome to Book Marketing Mentors, the weekly podcast where you learn proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips from the masters. Every week, I introduce you to a marketing master who will share their expertise to help you market and sell more books. Today, my special guest is Tom Antion. Tom has never had a job. He's an internet multimillionaire. Well, you could say he's the guy next door and founder of the only licensed dedicated internet marketing school in the country. He's the subject of a Hollywood documentary, The American Entrepreneur, that's going to premiere in the summer of 2023. He's a longtime colleague and someone I've admired for many years. Tom, it's such a pleasure to welcome you to the show, and thank you for being this week's guest expert and mentor.
Oh, Susan, I am thrilled to be here. But, I did actually apply for a job one time. It said it had a 401k. And I thought, man, that's a good starting salary, $401,000. I didn't get that job.
Oh, you're too funny. That's a good one. I really like that. Tom, you and I were just chatting briefly before we went on air. And you said you were into the internet before many people knew about it. And I'm one of those people. And I remember way back when you were talking about this thing, the internet. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? And now look at us 20 plus years later, you're Mr. Internet, Mr. Digital Marketer. Let's talk about it as it relates specifically to our authors who are primarily, as you know, nonfiction authors. So why should an author concentrate on this whole idea of going digital or being digital?
First of all, it was 29 years since we got started on the internet. So time flies when you're having fun, I guess, right? I've spoken at some of the major author events, over 20 years worth. And I see everybody desperate to get the book contract with somebody. And, the advances are almost nothing now. In fact, the advance I got for one of my printed books, they would nickel and dime me to pay for the graphics and for indexing and all kinds of stuff. It just drove me crazy. So when I got into the digital world selling ebooks, there's virtually no cost. I mean, you could be homeless and make a fortune selling ebooks because there's no development cost. The covers you can do on Canva. You can do a Word document, convert it to PDF. I mean, and one of the titles for this event is how I made $4 million on one ebook. And there was no development cost and was written in 4 hours. So some of the things I'm going to be talking about today, I'm going to show you how to get your books out really fast. I have a buddy that's been 40 years telling me he's going to write a book. It's not out yet. So the one I just said made 4 million on, 4 hours. And it's no BS. I'll tell you how I did that. And I'm going to tell you how to get really high quality, large quantities of books printed for free. I'm going to tell you 2 ways to do that. And also, I heard you and Brian Judd on a previous call. He's really great. And you were talking about a sponsorship deal. I'm going to take that to another level for the folks today. So the digital world means there's low risk, super high returns because you can get the same amount of money for an ebook as you can get for a printed book. And it's actually less work, less hassle. And the money is, they download it themselves. The money goes into your checking account, bam, wham, you made money. So it's way less risk and authors are making way more money going digital than trying to fight it out in that other world of the print world.
Oh, we're going to have a few people who printed books who are going to say, oh my goodness, what have I done?
Well, no, I mean, you can sell them like crazy online too, but you need to learn the digital world, which makes it way easier to sell the print books.
Well, and that's true because I know that many people, are fearful of that ebook alongside of a printed version because they say, hey, well, if they buy the ebook, they're not going to buy the printed version. And I said, no, that's not necessarily true.
Not true.
I've bought an audiobook, I've bought a printed version, and I've got the ebook of some books that I really like, because there's a whole different experience with each one of those different assets. So let's get down to the nitty gritty.
All right.
And you made a multi-million, 4 million, what did you say?
Yeah,
$4 million.
I'm going to save that for last for you.
Okay. Yeah. People have to hang on for that. So how do we get started? As you've listened to many of these broadcasts, which I am thrilled, thank you for doing that. Very rare that my guests do that. So kudos to you for taking the time. But as you know, I always like to let's start at the very beginning, because that's always a very good place to start, as they say. And we want to, as you say, you put out a book in a few hours or a weekend. And now, obviously, with ChatGPT, it's made it even easier, which is crazy. But if I'm coming to you for the first time, Tom, what would you tell me?
Yeah, and this artificial intelligence stuff just came around recently, but none of the stuff that I'm talking about had anything to do with that. These are ways you can do it without that. That will help you, but you just want to be careful with plagiarism, because it's grabbing stuff from every which way, and then you don't know what is going to get you in trouble for plagiarism or not. So mine doesn't account for any of that. My thing is about getting stuff done fast. I don't know if you remember this book, but I had a book that was 1,042 pages called Click, the Ultimate Guide to Electronic Marketing for Speakers. It dominated the industry for 10 years. But the thing is it's so big, by the time I was trying to edit part of it, the other part would go obsolete. And so nowadays, I broke it down into much smaller chunks that people can absorb. So that's the first thing, is don't try to write War and Peace. Write a specific how-to things that are very targeted. Now, there's a couple tricks to make this really, really fast. Some of your authors that are real snooty are going to be, think this was blasphemous, but I don't care. I care about high quality and the money. So that's what we're talking about. The first tip I want to tell people is, when you're developing a book on a topic, go to Amazon and type in your topic, and then a bunch of books will come up, right? What you do is you click on one of the books, and then there's the look in function. You click on look in, and it's going to lay out the table of contents on that topic. And you do that for 5 or 6 books, and you now have all the kinds of things you should cover in your book without stopping and thinking about it and looking at a blank screen all day. So that's the first thing. Use the look in function to see what else is out there, and they've already thought this out for you. Second thing, and this is the blasphemous part, is called PLR. That stands for private label rights, where just about on any topic you can dream of, you can go buy a book and get the rights to put your name on it. Now, do I suggest doing that? No, but I suggest going ahead and doing it, and then go through the book, throw out the stuff that's crap, put in your personal stuff, change the cover, and now you have an ebook. My last 2 books, I started on a Friday. I put 4 hours in one and 8 hours in the other. And by Monday, $2,000 had come in from selling these books. So speed is important. The last thing would be to get a ghostwriter. Some of my most famous books, my instant eulogy book, my wedding toast and wedding speech books, that brought in between them almost $120,000 a year, were ghostwritten for $260 each, including the sales letter. Then I tweaked them. I put in a bunch of extra resources, and they sold for 9 years straight, bringing in $120,000 a year. So that's how to get stuff done fast. How do you like that, Susan?
It's pretty good. And I remember the wedding book. I was like, why is Tom writing this?
Tom didn't write it. Tom put his 2 cents worth in.
He put his 2 cents worth in.
But
Yes.
I found the market that had a need. And the thing about the digital stuff, Susan, is it's the instant gratification. Most of those wedding toast books were bought, I suspect, by drunk bachelors at the bachelor party thinking, oh my God, I got to do a toast tomorrow and the bride will kill me if I mess it up. And so they would plunk down there's $17 for my wedding toast book. And then the father of the bride got the wedding speech book. And, and the instant eulogy was an urgent need for people, in distress. So those are just little niche things that just made a lot of money. That's more salary than an executive makes, just from that few hour investment. And that went on for 9 years straight.
And kudos to you, Tom, because what you've done is, as you rightly say, you've looked at where there's a need in the marketplace. And these are very simple things. Probably most people here have been, to a wedding and they've had to listen to somebody giving a speech and they're awful. I mean, awful. I've had my fair share and more of them. Yeah. So putting together something decent like that, I love. And the idea of PLR, which I'm familiar with, but I'm not familiar with it in the way you've used it. And that is, as you say, buy something on a topic, chuck out what is garbage and put in your own anecdote or your own stories. Because at the end of the day, that's most of what the book is, really makes it different from anybody else's because you and I know there's nothing new under the sun.
Exactly. Right. So why agonize over, days and weeks and months to write something that could have been done in a few hours and bringing money in? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how you can get high quality, large quantities of books actually printed for free. And I have personally done this. There's two methods. One is you have to know a little bit about commercial book printing. This isn't print on demand. Commercial book printing is done on these enormous presses where they fold a big piece of paper down into little booklets, and then they glue the booklets together called signatures, usually 8 pages or 16 or 32 pages. Well, there's almost always, when you go this route, blank pages at the end of the book. So what I did is I sold advertising in those blank pages, which paid for the printing bill. So I got the books for free in quantities of like 1,000 or 5,000, right? I sold them at the back of the room for $20. That's one method, is to sell ads in the blank pages at the back of the book. The other is to pre-sell the book to distributors for that specific topic. This works better on how-to information that's niched. So if you're into go-karts or archery or golf, there's always distributors that service those markets, and you can pre-sell them, and then that pays for the print bill. Of course, you're just going to have stuff in the book that leads back to you for coaching, consulting, speaking, whatever. Those are the two ways you can get high-quality, commercially books printed for free.
I love that idea. That is dynamite. Listeners, pay attention to that. And if you missed it, I recommend that you replay that section. That was brilliant. It's interesting, though, that you say that, because with regard to the ads, I've put together 6 of those anthologies, when it's authors and multiple authors. It's almost like a summit, but in a book format. They've purchased that. When you've had 12, 15 people pay for that, they pay for the cost of the printing, the editing, everything that takes care of the book. And I end up with books for free. So I know that one, which is a great way.
Yeah.
But I've not heard of it in your own book.
The reason I like this better, Susan, is because I don't have to deal with 15 other authors and just be lumped in with them.
You're right.
I'm dealing with companies that have bigger purse strings, that the amount that I'm charging them is nothing to them, pretty much, compared to an author that you got to nurture them and get them, and then you're diluted with a bunch of other authors. And both ideas work, but this one, you're dealing with bigger companies that have bigger purse strings. And they're not going to bother you. They're going to give you the ads, you put it in the book, and that's the end of it. There's no editing, nothing. So.
And you make it sound very easy, because I know one of the questions that I might get is, well, how do you get to these companies and who do you speak to there? And, so, give us a dummy's version of.
Yeah. It's not going to be the same title in every company, but it's going to be basically the marketing or promotions manager or sponsorship division if it's a big enough company. You have to do your research on these. Yeah, I'm making it sound easy because of our short time period, but you have to do all of these ideas, take some research. that you find out who to pitch to, and your pitch will improve. And there's unlimited numbers of companies out there that would go for these kind of ideas. And you'll get the idea with a certain company, they call it a marketing manager. Another company would be the promotions manager. So you have to do your research for each particular company.
Tom, in that case, would you go to companies where the subject matter was of interest? So let's take the wedding book, for instance. Would you go, let's say, to a bridal store, or would you go to some other service that would
bakeries,
supply
photographers?
Exactly.
It's going to be way easier. I mean, it'd be crazy to put something really offbeat. I mean, you might get a bite on something, but why would you do that when you get something related so that it's even a bigger benefit to them to put an ad in your book? Because the bride or groom is going to give that book to the next bride or groom, and then your ad the ad for that company is going to pay off better. The ROI is going to go on and on and on, because brides talk to other brides about what services they used and what worked and what didn't. And so they'll pass the book along for sure.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I mean, even doing it on a state level would be interesting, because you usually buy things within a local area, a bakery, obviously, or a photographer you use. You don't want to start paying excess. So, yeah, we could put some different ideas together, Tom. Go crazy with this.
Now, you and Brian had a really cool talk about sponsors and, getting big companies to buy multiple books and all that, right? All right, so I'm going to take that to another level for you.
Go for it.
All right, you could be homeless and do this idea and come out with enormous amounts of money. All right, so here's how it works. Let's use a sample of, let's say you wrote a book on volunteerism. And let's say you went to the Red Cross, who lives on volunteers, and you go to them and you say, if I could give you, and you have written this book, and so you have at least a mock-up or a print-on-demand version to take with you to this whatever meeting you can get with these folks. And you ask the Red Cross, if I can give you 50,000 copies of this book, would you distribute it to your volunteer network? And that's what you're attempting to do. And you're attempting to get them to say on their letterhead that they will distribute 50,000 of these books to their volunteer network if they're given to them for free. All right, with me so far?
Yes.
Then, again, you're going to do your research. You're going to go and find every vendor you can, and many of them brag that they sell to the Red Cross. People that sell things to the Red Cross, Band-Aids and alcohol swabs and whatever. Red Cross buys a lot of stuff. And then you're going to go to those vendors who probably make millions of dollars a year off the Red Cross. And you're going to show them this letter that says, hey, the Red Cross needs money to finance this book that they want to give to their volunteers. And we'd like to know if you'd like to participate in it. Right? Now, they got millions of dollars of contracts, and maybe your whole budget is $200,000 for this deal to get 50,000 books. And so you could have exclusive sponsors. I know you and Brian talked about that. They pay a lot of money. Or you could have a bunch of smaller sponsors. And so they're going to want to keep the Red Cross happy. And you got this paper in your hand that says they want these books. I just laugh at this because this is so simple. Typically, in these kinds of deals, Susan, you can take a 30% management fee. So not only do you put together the whole deal to print the book, do the editing, all the thing, and put the major sponsors, let them write the forward, get the CEO of Band-Aid Company or Johnson & Johnson or somebody to write the forward, which you write for them. And you get the book printed, have them delivered to the Red Cross, take your 30% management fee. And in addition to that, you just got the Red Cross to distribute 50,000 copies of your name as the author to this book. And they probably will let you have access to their PR department to help promote the whole deal. There you go. That should make you rich, folks.
Oh, my goodness. I'm like, you're blowing my mind, Tom. I knew you'd be good, but I didn't expect my mind to be blown quite so much. Yes.
I didn't even get to the 4 million yet.
Yeah.
I'm just getting warmed up.
I know.
You get the idea. You get a major, well-known entity to agree to take delivery and distribute a large quantity of your books. You go to all their vendors that want to keep their contracts happy, and they all have marketing departments too. And you tap into those budgets, put the deal together, take your management fee, and take the PR that you get from being associated with this major.
So this is a printed book, correct?
This would be printed. Yeah. I mean, I know that you can do stuff with ebooks, with codes and stuff, but I'm still old school too. Everybody likes to have a book. I mean, you don't want to send somebody a thumb drive as a gift, right? With an ebook on it. I still like to mark up my books. And plus, the old school people at the Red Cross are going to understand a printed book that's going to be given to these volunteers, and Red Cross is going to be on it, and it's just going to be beautiful. And the bad thing about ebooks is everything's hidden in the electrons. So that's why I said, if you mix both of these worlds, you can be a very, very highly paid author and make a lot of people happy and do a lot of good in the world.
I love it. It's a fabulous idea. Fabulous, fabulous. Okay. Let's talk about your internet marketing school so people can know about that. And we're going to keep, the $4 million piece. Sort of that's what's the Paul Harvey thing. And
right,
there's more.
The rest of the story. Yeah. Yes. Well, the school was developed because, as I started getting really well known in the field of internet and digital marketing, my program is a one-on-one program, very high level, and all my staff works with you one-on-one. But there's only a finite amount of people you can help that way, or you have to just jack the fee up so high it's just unreachable. So I thought, how am I going to do this? And also, how am I going to fight the fact that, this is an unregulated field? There's so many scammers. I actually have a TV show in development in Hollywood called Scam Brigade. You may be aware in our past of me going after some big name people in our field and how that went. So the school, I thought, you know what? Nobody on this earth has gone through the scrutiny that I have to go through to get a license for an adult education facility. It's actually, internet marketing is actually considered vocational. It's like plumbing and heating and air conditioning, except you don't have to be digging ditches or welding or something. So I went through 3 years to get the license, background checks, financial checks, curriculum checks, the whole bit to get the license of this school. It's been running, I think, 12, 13 years now. And that way I could help more people at a lower fee, and I could save them from I don't want to say indoctrination camps, but that's what I'm thinking, of the typical 4-year school nowadays, which they just teach you how to protest, and then you got $300,000 in debt and you're competing for jobs at Starbucks. When I went to school, I'm a big educational fan, but it's different now. I got to tell you, you say the wrong word, they bury you. So this is a highly in-demand field, digital and internet marketing. And in little as 6 months, you can get a certificate and be working at a high-level job. So it's got a lot of benefits to it.
Oh, it certainly does. So how do our listeners find out more about that?
They can check, it's IMTCVA, Internet Marketing Training Center, Virginia.org. And this isn't something you click a link. This is something I need to talk to you, and you get your family involved, and we make sure this is right for you. But the tuition is so cheap compared to any other thing you could get into. And like I said, it's super high demand. And everybody's on their cell phones and tablets anyway all day. Might as well make some money for it.
That's true. But if somebody actually wanted to get hold of you and talk to you more about some of these other ideas that we've been talking about, how would they do that, Tom?
Yeah, they could go to my podcast site, since I've never had a job. It's called Screw the Commute. And I'm going to give them away a freebie, and that'll lead them to me anyway. So it's screwthecommute.com/Susan. And this is an ebook that I wrote on how to automate your business. See, I want people working with clients and customers and writing their books and developing products and services, not fighting with their computer. And just one of the tips in this book, Susan, is we estimated, this is not hype, saved me 8 million keystrokes, saved me carpal tunnel syndrome, because the computers will do so much if somebody would just teach you how to do it. And this 60 or 70 page ebook shows you all the ways I automate myself so that I'm lightning fast taking care of people where the money is, not fighting with my computer. So screwthecommute.com/Susan will lead them to me.
Fantastic. You've been a road warrior with this. You've tried and tested all these things. You use your own techniques. So highly recommend that. We'll put that in the show notes, Tom, so people can download that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now, before we get to the golden nugget, let's talk about our $4 million book.
Okay. Well, my overriding principle, Susan, which all of your authors, no matter what they write, and not novel stuff, not fiction, I'm too stupid to write fiction. So this should always lead to bigger stuff, because I have said many years, a book is the most hassle, least profitable thing you'll ever do in your entire life. It's what the book leads to, where the really big money is. I'm talking consulting. I mean, you could write a book, give it to a bunch of CEOs, and come out with a $50,000 or $100,000 consulting contract. If it's a more business to consumer, you could come out with coaching contracts. You can come out with speaking engagements, membership sites that give you recurring income. So that's the overriding principle. But in this particular case, the way this works, and I'm on radio and TV all the time, and I get, this is called a hook. And it's like, I couldn't stop the money coming into my checking account if I tried. Couldn't stop it. I'd have to go hide out in Mexico. And the mechanism here, I remember vividly writing this book, Susan. There was about a 4-hour layover in McCarran Airport in Las Vegas. I wrote this book. And the idea here is that you do something once and you sell it forever, but it also leads to something that sells forever. So what I did is I wrote a book on how to do something, but you can't do it unless you purchase or lease or rent the tool to do it. I make between $600 and $720 per person per year if you do what I say in this book. This is called a residual affiliate program. If for some of your listeners aren't familiar, an affiliate program is where I recommend something, and then if you buy it through my link, I get a commission. That's like a one-off. A residual affiliate program means that if you buy it through my link, every time you buy it again, I keep getting paid. It could be a membership site. It could be supplements. In this case, it's a shopping cart system. That's the mechanism that this happens. So if I promote this and somebody buys it, I start making $600 to $720 a year per person. I've had, I think, 1,700 users of this. So this is a lot of money. I think we figured it out. And all the time I've been doing this, just this one ebook has brought in, I think, about $243,000 a year, which is a rich person's salary by any standard, right? But that's just from that, writing that 4-hour ebook that tells people how to do it, something, and then hooking it to a residual affiliate program. And you can go just type in residual affiliate program and then your topic, or residual associate program, sometimes they call it. Also, recurring affiliate program is another term you can use. And there's thousands of these out there, and there's bound to be something that would fit your topic. So that's the mechanism, Susan. Now I want to tell you why I love Amazon KDP. The reason is, and when I do my students, it's either a PDF ebook or it's an Amazon Kindle. We don't mess with anything, Barnes & Noble, Nook, Apple, nothing, because Amazon's got 80 to 90% of the market. They have this one specific program called KDP Select, where if you make a deal with Amazon, they will give your book away for 5 days out of every 90, as long as you agree not to sell it electronically anywhere else. And you say, well, big deal, Tom. What's the deal about giving away your book? How do you make money that way? Well, I just told you. I want that book distributed because every person that does what I say in the book is going to send me $600 to $720 a year, depending on whether they buy it yearly or monthly. And Amazon gave away 2,500 copies in 5 days. I'm good, but I ain't Amazon. And so a bunch of those people, so Amazon for free promoted my ebook and gave me an income of $600 to $720 a year per person. Right? That's why I don't mess with Barnes & Noble or anything else. So that's the idea. Residual affiliate program, and then a PDF version, an Amazon version in the KDP Select program.
Whoa, I'm like breathless here. As I said, you've blown my mind. And yes, this is quite something.
This is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, just thinking up. And your original book that you were talking about, I know that I bought the product because I know exactly which shopping cart it was.
Oh, there you go.
So you've had plenty of money from me. I know.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I can buy eggs now.
Yes, you can. At the price they are, you can do that.
I told my girlfriend I'm going to take her somewhere expensive. So I said, she got all dressed up. So I took her to the gas station.
Oh, Mr. Romantic.
Yeah.
Tom, oh dear, we could go on for a lot longer. I know we could. And I think this is looking for a second invitation. So we'll make a point of that because I know that there's so much more that you could share that we're just running out of time here. If you can leave our listeners with a golden nugget, I know you've given us so many already, but I'm going to ask you for another one.
This is more esoteric, I would say, in that please get your ego out of it. I've seen so many people that they write for their ego. I can tell you that getting a really, really big bank account will feed your ego better. Right, than pats on the back. So use these techniques, these electronic things for low cost, high return. Remember, ebooks are 97% profit, and you get the regular amount as you would at a regular book that you slaved over for years. So get your ego out of it, get the money, and you can do so many good things in the world, plus feed your ego, plus take care of your family. So concentrate on doing a great job for people. I'm not saying put out junk. That's not the way I roll. But I put out great stuff at a minimum cost that everybody can afford, that they actually want, because I use things that have a clear demand in the marketplace. And the money rolls in at 97% profit. I mean, you got to screw up really bad, Susan, to mess up at 97% profit. So that's my tip. Get your ego out of it. Go for the money and high quality with low cost, high returns.
Yeah, I love that. Interesting, because I was at one point considering writing a book about getting rid of that ego, because it stands in the way and stops you doing a whole lot of things. So
well, I've got 25 books to my credit. My latest one is called Highly Educated Idiots. And it's about what's going on in the world today with lawmakers and the crazy stuff they're doing.
Well, you're very street smart. And so we can learn a lot from your expertise. And as I say, you've been in this, 29 years? I'm sorry, I didn't get that number right.
Yeah, I've been in business 46 years, but I started when the commercial internet started, 1994.
Yeah. Oh, well, Tom, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Really appreciate it. And as I said, we're going to have you back for another episode because there's so much more that you can share. And listeners, if your book isn't selling the way you wanted or expected to, let's you and I jump on a quick call together to brainstorm ways to ramp up those sales. You've invested a whole lot of time, money, and energy, and it's time you got the return you were hoping for. Go to brainstormwithsusan.com and schedule your free call. And in the meantime, I hope this really powerful interview, sparks some ideas you can use to sell more books. Until next week, here's wishing you much book and author marketing success.